Welcome to toy-polloi. No Legos were harmed in the making of this video.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Now, over the last few months I've been restoring a few vintage Snowspeeders, and you will have seen lots of new videos on my channel showing you how to fix various things that go wrong on these. And one thing that I've had a problem finding is the glass for a lot of the cockpits. I've now managed to find glass for at least two of the ships that I'm rebuilding, but as you can see, a lot of them are like this. If we take the cockpit off, this one doesn't have any glass in it, whereas it should look like this and have a sort of plastic insert. So today I thought I'd show you how I make the replacement glass for these, because it's often missing on these, and trying to buy it at the moment, the prices seem to be ridiculously high, so sometimes it's better just to make your own version. So let's get on and make some replacement glass for these cockpits. So here we have two cockpits. This is one that does have the glass in, even though it's a little bit yellowed. It's still a perfectly good cockpit. And this is the one from the custom Snowspeeder that I've shown you in recent videos with the custom lights and custom stickers. Now this one doesn't have a glass in it at the moment. So what we need to do is work out the exact shape of the inside of this cockpit. And what I've done is I've taken a piece of paper and very carefully sort of folded it and cut it and scored it until I've managed to get something that fits inside this. Now this took me a little while to do because it's all at sort of slight angles, but it's just a case of sort of carefully measuring. And once I've got sort of the rough shape, I can then work out the areas that need to be sort of cut out to avoid some sort of key features on the inside, and that's this little peg that is at the back section of the cockpit. And I ended up with a shape like this, which I took into Photoshop and made myself a pattern. And so here is the pattern. Now this file is available for anyone to use, so you can use this to make your own version of this cockpit glass. And as you can see, it's a nice sort of easy pattern to work with. Basically you just have to print this out onto a normal A4 sheet of paper. If you print it at 100%, it's a 300 dpi file. You'll end up with this, and this is what we're going to use as the basis to make the new cockpit glass. For the glass itself, we are going to use some thin acetate sheets. Now you can buy these in sort of packs of 10. I picked this stuff up off eBay, and this is 300 microns thick, so it's not the thickest of stuff, but it's perfectly good for doing this, and it is very easy to work with. So I'm going to take a sheet of this, which is A4. Now I'm going to line this sheet up with the sort of top flat line of the pattern, because there's no point in cutting too many lines, and this will save you cutting one extra line. And I'm just going to get a small amount of sticky tape, so I've just got some sticky tape here, a small piece of sticky tape like that, and I'm just going to stick that across the top line there, just to hold this all in place, because the sticky tape is just to stop this stuff moving when we go about cutting it. The good thing with this acetate is it's nice and easy to cut. So first off, we're going to cut out the main part of this shape. So we're just going to go around the outside edge of the shape. I've got a sharp knife here and I have a metal ruler, and I'm just going to carefully cut around the outside, and then that will be the first part of this process. So there you go, you can see I've now cut around the outside edges. Now we can move on to cutting out the two notches which sort of go over the little tabs on the inside of the cockpit cover. And again, we can just use the sharp knife. I'm not going to use the ruler this time because it's a fairly short little line to cut. So I can just score those down. Cut that out. Hopefully we should be able to remove that tab. Like so. Do the same on the other side. And there we go. Now, before I remove the acetate from the pattern, we're going to do some gentle cuts along these sort of inner lines. Now, you don't want to cut too much on these. You're just going to sort of mark a line so that when you take this off, we can then fold the acetate nice and neatly. So all you need to do is line the ruler up and quite gently run the blade along, just so there's a little bit of a sort of line on the acetate sheet. We'll do the same on this side, like so. And then of course we've got to do one more just at the front there. And now we're ready to remove the acetate sheet from the pattern. So because there's just one little bit of sticky tape at the end, we can easily remove that like so, and we have the new sort of template for the glass. So I've now brought in the cockpit cover and we have the template for the glass, and because we've scored you can still see clearly the shape of the new bit of glass. All we've got to do is gently sort of bend that, and because we've scored it, it will just sort of crease along those quite nicely. And we can do the same on this side, and we'll do the same at the front. And you can see you've now got something that is the right shape to go inside the cockpit, so we can just check that this fits. I'll just slot that in, and you can see that fits nicely inside the cockpit. To stick this in place, I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Because it's sort of already in the cockpit, you can clearly see the areas where you could put tape and you won't be able to see them from the outside. So we can put a nice piece on the top here, we can put a little bit sort of on the corner at the front there, another little bit in the middle, another bit on the corner, and maybe a little strip down the sort of back edge there, and that should be enough to hold this in place. So if I take the glass out, I can then just get a pair of scissors and cut a few small strips of this double-sided tape off and stick them onto the acetate. So we stick one piece there. As I say, we'll do a sort of a thin strip along the back edge of the window, like so. Another thin strip on this window. If it goes over the edge like it has here, you can just sort of trim those pieces off. And then we need a smaller piece that just sort of fits within the sort of the little tab bit that's on the front part of the windscreen there. So I'll just make a small piece that looks like that should fit. Like so. And now I'm going to put a piece on either of those corners, either side of those corners. So again, if I just cut a sort of angled piece, I think that should be hidden inside, which it is, so we can do the same for the other side. That bit can go on there. So we can now stick the cockpit glass in place. So now all we've got to do is remove the backing from the tape. We can remove all of these pieces in one go, and everything should fit quite nicely, as we've already done a test fit. We can just drop this into the cockpit. Make sure it's all lined up nicely, and then press down on the tape just to stick it all down. And that feels pretty good. There we go, one replacement set of glass for a vintage Star Wars Snowspeeder. Let's compare the two. And here we go, on the left we have the original cockpit glass, and on the right we have my new acetate sheet cockpit glass. As you can see, if I show you, it's nice and shiny when the lights shine on it, but you can still see the pilots inside really clearly. In fact, an awful lot clearer than the original cockpit, because those have sort of yellowed and got a bit sort of murky over the years. This is nice and clean, so it really does make quite a difference. And obviously the great thing with this is, if I do come across an original cockpit glass, I can easily remove that, because it is just held in with double-sided tape, so I can easily remove that and swap that out. But in the meantime, that does look really nice. So as I say, the pattern for this will be available on toy-polloi.com, so just go there and you can download it and have a go at making your own replacement cockpit glass for a vintage Star Wars Snowspeeder. So I hope that video has been of interest to you, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching Toy-Polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow Toy-Polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.